Yeah, I'm Will Hernandez, and I make my home in Arcadia,
Mm-hmm.
California, which is in Southern California, near LA.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we're under LA County. And right now, in terms of faith tradition, faith community that I belong in, I am really right now just trying to find my new community. But I would consider myself, you know, ecumenical Christian with evangelical rootedness and all that. I think the one word that I would associate with spiritual direction is the concept of companioning. In fact, I would probably prefer to use a one with one type relationship as opposed to just merely one on one type relationship. And I know that that sounds very simple, companioning and all that, but to me, it's very profound because you're companioning a soul, so it involves deep soul work, you know, which I believe is spiritual work because you're dealing with a soul who's made in the image of God, you know. So I love the way Alan Jones, who's the dean of Grace Cathedral, who's written some books also on spiritual direction and all that. I love the way he describes the whole companioning um, idea. He says, companionship was for the hatching of the heart, the bringing home of our scattered, fragmented selves, and the making of a heart at home with itself. Now, I know that I'm not about to wrangle over terminologies right now, but I would dare say, you can speak of the heart, the soul, the self, rather interchangeably, the way, Augustine used the term. And so I believe that spiritual direction goes very deep in the sense that you're taking aim at the soul, taking aim at the heart or the self, the true self made in the image of God. And I love what he says that it's the bringing home of the scattered self, which you know in the words of Sue Monk Kidd is the deepest meaning of spiritual becoming, you know, where the spiritual journey, is likened to our transformational journey of coming home to who we really are, you know, our true self, So yeah, I I appreciate the fact that spiritual direction is focused on the individual, the being made in the image of God, which, if I may borrow the words of my former mentor before, he says, uh, in reference to the imago Dei in every human being. I mean, that resides in every human being. He or she represents a valuable being. So hey, what greater work can you think of than actually dealing with a soul made in the image of God? So you know, um, I would say if there's one quote unquote qualification for somebody who would go for spiritual direction, it's probably just a seeker, a spiritual seeker. I wouldn't come up with a whole elaborate checklist of requirements as who can qualify to, go seek spiritual direction. But I've had, um, the privilege of actually coming alongside people who do not even profess a particular faith, but they're genuinely, authentically seeking, and that to me is more than enough, you know, uh, kind of like motivation for somebody to come for spiritual direction. But of course, there's something to be said about people who are seeking direction just because, not that they have problems or that they are in the thick of phase in their life when they're seeking certain solution or whatever to a particular conflict, problem, or whatever, but just somebody who's wanting to deepen their relationship with God, and who's open to being companioned by somebody in their on their particular journey. And yeah, so, and also, some people are go for spiritual direction, of course, who are specifically in discernment, whether it be vocational discernment or just lifestyle issues, that they want to be uh, just companioned by somebody who can at least facilitate some clarity in their lives, and all that. So yeah, I guess, like I said earlier, I don't think that there really is a hard and fast rule or qualification for somebody to engage in spiritual direction work. Um, you know, Again, if they're genuine seekers, they may not know the techniques or methods or of prayer, but if in their hearts they're genuinely wanting to connect with God, well, that qualifies them to profit from the experience and all that. And the process itself, actually, it can entail, in a sense, the learning of those kinds of practices and disciplines. I've had people who started out with me in spiritual direction, but they're not even familiar with certain spiritual practices, examine or centering prayer and all that. But spiritual direction became for them a learning kind of like venue for them to actually engage in the practice while doing direction. It's not as though it's like, okay, I'll give you a homework type thing. But in the direction, in the process of direction itself, they're engaging with me, with in the experience, and that's awesome, because then they come out really, um, you know profiting from the experience itself.